How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's having an awesome day. It is what, Thursday? No shit, the week's almost over. I really don't get weeks, so it just kind of goes together. But I hope everybody's having a great day. Today, we're going to talk about this young lady who a couple of her videos were sent to me the other day. Uh, it's half of Carla, and we're going to review how she's lost, what she's learned losing 180 pounds, which is a huge fucking endeavor. Now, I don't know if half of Carla lost weight and then started a channel. We're going to check that out. Like, I have not watched this video. I know next to nothing about this woman besides the fact that somebody sent me a few videos of her. Excuse me while I get my morning supplements ready. And we will go from there. I'm going to say hi. Let's see. We've got Jason. What's going on, motherfucker? Saul Goodman. Hey, I wanted to thank you for your free advice during these lives. You're very fucking welcome. Eating whole foods and just concentrating on my health and not for aesthetics has gotten me more aesthetic than ever. I find that to be the same too. Straight up. I find that when I don't necessarily focus on aesthetics as much. Give me 1 second. I find it when I need to find my ember. I find it when I don't focus on my aesthetics as much, when I focus just on generalized health and my weight, that I indeed had to break that in half. Taking a half of an ember, that I indeed end up looking more aesthetic. I like my looks better than when I try to just focus on looks. So I hope that everybody realizes the same, because that's normally for most people how it works. Most people focus on their looks, but they don't realize that if they just get healthy, healthy looks good. Like this is healthy looks pretty good. Talking to squirrels. I hope you are talking to a therapist also. If you're talking to squirrels. Accountability and discipline, and that's what is needed by society. I completely agree. Janet, how are you? What's up, Julian? How you doing? Jane Cook, Angela. Morning, everybody. How you doing, Sabrina? Tonic Blade. Gonna have to listen a bit at the gym. Good. Checked her channel out last night. Looks like she started her channel after she lost 150 pounds. That's outstanding. That to me, that it makes a lot more sense. We do have quite a bit of a video to get through. I did want to say though, that actually makes me very happy. I want to say you can get my book, Beyond Willpower, The Hunger Management Method, which is right up here. You can get that, and it comes with our app for a month. And you can also get No Morbidity at the Ambrosia Collective here in about another week and a half, 2 weeks, hopefully. Like I said, we are very committed to making sure we give the highest quality product possible. So we do third-party testing about once every year, or about once every, I think it's once every 6 months, once every year. And we wanted to send everything out, like the entire batch of ambrosia, not just No Morbidity, but everything got sent up to third-party testing. You gonna lay down there now? Okay. Awesome sauce is being a little crazy. So let's take a look at this lady's channel. This is half of Carla. Now, what I go over here is my opinion. I do want everybody to go and this woman has lost 180 pounds. I'm more interested to see if she picked up something in her journey that could possibly teach me something. She's there. So she has found what works for her. Hopefully she's found what works for her in the absolute long run too. But we are going to, I possibly will add some critique ever. But most of the time I really believe that the more you keep your mind open to learning, it helps me with other clients and stuff like that too. So we're just going to go here and here. I'm not going to keep her all the way up. And then this is, I bought the book, but I was having a hard time signing up for the app. I'm sure it's just me, but I'm looking forward to reading it. Send me a message on Twitter if you still have trouble. You should. I will, and I would need to know, like, because the thing is, I would need to know your name and stuff like that, and I'll see if I can help you out on the app. That's the thing. I haven't seen anybody sign up as Peaceful Lifter. So again, this is half of Carla, and if we take a look at her channel, and videos, I don't know how old her oldest video is. Looks like she's been doing this for quite a while. How I lost 150 pounds in 11 months. Good for her. Good for her. Intermittent fasting. She went through therapy, it looks like. How I lost 180 pounds. That's, this to me looks pretty good. We're going to go over the most recent video.
This is controversial.
Where she says, this is controversial. Okay, I'm going to keep it at 1.25 speed. So that's not actually her voice, just so everybody understands. But this is half of Carla and the lessons she's learned losing over 180 pounds. Good for her.
Oh, please listen to what I'm saying before we have any clapback. Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Carla. I make videos about showing up for yourself, and for me, that is what helped to change my entire life, helped me to overcome my mental health issues, to lose 180 pounds, and basically live the best life that I can.
So I like how she puts help me to overcome mental health issues, because for a lot of really big people, that's a huge portion of it. It's hard to, like, it used to be a thing for, like, one of the excuses for fat acceptance like 5 years ago was, I need to work on my mental health and then I work on my physical health. You can't decouple those two things. So I'm very happy to hear her say that already.
In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you a few more lessons that I learned from losing that weight. So this is the second video that I have done. I'll leave a link up here if you guys are interested in going and checking out the first 5
Please do.
lessons that I learned from losing 180 pounds. I'll also link up here an entire weight loss journey playlist, which includes how I lost weight. So if you just stumbled across me and you're like, who is this woman and what is she talking about? I'll leave a link up here so you guys can check that out. It's basically, how I lost weight and all the different components that went into helping me to lose that 180 pounds and change my mental health and change my life forever. So as I said in today's video,
please go subscribe and follow those.
I'm going to be sharing with you 4 more lessons that I learned when losing 180 pounds. And I chose 4 because I was trying to round it up to 5, and I was like, nope, I don't want to just find something else. I want these to be like really well thought out, and I have 4 that were really well thought out, so we're going with it. So let's get into this video. Lesson number 1. The first lesson that I want to share with you today is how I realized that I was most successful when I was accountable only to myself.
I'm interested to hear what she has to say about that, because I don't like a big problem is a lot of people don't hold themselves accountable. I mean that's the fucking thing though. A lot of people don't hold themselves accountable. So I'm interested to hear what she has to say.
So bear with me. My whole life I had been overweight, and I had always tried to lose weight. Like, every Monday you're trying to lose weight, starting a new diet. Tomorrow I'll be good. Tomorrow I'll do it. Tomorrow I'll do it next week. Oh no, in January that's it. That's the day. I've decided this week I'm going to lose weight. Or somebody would have told me I need to lose weight. A doctor, my parents, my family members, a friend, a boyfriend, a teacher, somebody else has told me that I have to lose weight. Somebody's bribed me to lose weight, told me that they will buy me clothes or pay for every stone I lose, I'll get €100. That was one thing that was kind of bribed to me before. Bribed to me, is that a verb? Can you be bribed to? You get my drift. I tried to lose weight because of, fitting with friends, or friends that have said something. And the big difference with that and all of those attempts at weight loss and this one is that I did this for me. And I decided to be accountable only to myself and not tell anybody else except the people who really needed to know.
I love that. I got to be real. I think that is because here's reality. Like, if you make it super about, like, if you do what other weight loss channels do, like the accountability, like, and I said this in multiple books, or there now multiple books. Yeah. When the audience is there to hold you accountable, it becomes not necessarily healthy. Now the the thing is, like, if I understand what she's saying. Like, she's doing it for herself, not for other people to hold her accountable and blah blah blah. I do think that it is a double-edged sword there, because again, a lot of very big people that need to lose that much weight don't necessarily hold themselves accountable, you know.
My partner.
But what she's implying is that, like, she needs, like, people need to do it for themselves, not for other people, which I agree with.
Vincent, who I live with, it was a shift in knowing that this is so important to me, that this is for me, by me, and the accountability is only to me. It's not to a weight loss group. It's not to a leader of a group. It's not to a boyfriend, a friend, a husband, a wife, a girlfriend, whatever. It's not to a doctor. I'm not being accountable to somebody else. I'm not part of an accountability group. And it's almost as if this is the first time that I trusted myself, that I am the only one that needs to hold myself accountable.
See, and I'm super happy for her, but that is not going to be the case for most people. Most people that need to lose weight, it's just not going to be the case. It sounds to me like she reached a mental epiphany that she was able to, like, get there. Like, she was holding herself accountable, and that's phenomenal. And I really think that people need to find their way to get there. Like, when we coach people, we try to make sure that they understand, like, we're just very realistic with them. We have accountability to them. It starts with us, where we then try to show them, because one of the things we do with all clients is we have them send us when they first start, especially if they need to lose weight, we have them send us a picture of everything they eat before they eat it. Everything, right? And if they miss a meal, we're like, did you miss a meal? We try to hold them accountable. And then what happens is they say, yeah, I had a meal, but I didn't want to show you. And then we have the discussion of, why didn't you want to show us? Why didn't we show you eating this? And oftentimes it's not even, as long as the person's, like, in it, it's not even something that bad. And they've just got it in their head that it's an issue. And we talk through it, because it's what you eat, that thing plus the entirety of everything else that you eat, right? But what happens is I'm able to explain to them, look, that means this information. You're holding yourself accountable to not send me the information. You just don't want to be embarrassed in front of me, but you're okay being embarrassed in front of yourself. We need to change that aspect where you value your opinion as much as you value my opinion, because I'm actually not holding you accountable to anything you don't already know. I am just, pointing out to you, like, that it's accountability. Like, it's basically borrowed authority, where they've given us the authority to judge them when they're already prejudging themselves, and that's I think kind of what she got to herself. But most people do, when they first start out, need somebody to help hold them accountable, especially when they are in the throes of, like, a food addiction, binge eating, something like that, or just, like, literally, like, chemically addicted to sugar and stuff like that.
I don't need external accountability. I can be accountable to myself. And that was a really big shift.
That's a huge shift. I mean, that's an enormous, awesome, like, amazing, fucking awesome for her shift. I mean, that is just about everything. You know what I mean? But I just don't like in my professional, like, literally professional experience, that is not most people. I mean, it's just not most people.
In knowing and trusting myself, let's tell a story, a hypothetical story. So
hypothetical.
Gina and Rachel, they decided to join their local running group because they both want to lose weight and they think that running is going to be the best way to do it, but they also just want to be really fit. And they've never done anything before, so they decided to, like, join their local Couch to K group. And Gina and Rachel are totally up for it at the start. They're, like, really gung-ho, and they're like, they go and they're like, wow, that was really, really difficult. And a couple of weeks in or 3 weeks in, but they're really enjoying it, and they find it difficult but challenging, but they're still.
And if one doesn't show up, then the other one doesn't show up. That's a problem. I agree with that.
Still going back. 3 weeks in, Gina kind of gets that dip in motivation, the middle. I'll leave that if you don't know. And she's like, oh, you know, I don't really know if I want to go tonight, you know, the group, I can't really be bothered. And Rachel's like, oh no, I really want to go.
So I haven't watched the other. I think the movie, the video. She makes half-hour videos, so they're like TV shows. But I haven't watched the in the middle one. It is one of the other ones that was sent to me, but I can say that the middle is a problem for a lot of people. Like when they in their head think they have like X amount of weight to lose, right? So say you have 200 pounds to lose, and they get to 100 pounds, and for most people, especially people that have been fat the majority of their life, like if they have been fat since they were kids, if they were abused with food when they were young, because that's what that is. If you are a morbidly obese child, if you're 13 years old and weigh 250, 200, 300 pounds, that's abuse, whether the people that are abusing you realize it or not, you know? But oftentimes, so say they become an adult and then you want to hold yourself accountable and you lose 100 pounds. Well, for a very morbidly obese person that needs to lose 200 pounds, you've never felt good pretty much your entire life, because a lot of what we're seeing now, especially a lot of fat acceptance, body positivity community, everything like that, they don't even know what feeling good feels like. They think they feel fine because they've always felt like shit. You know, they think they feel fine because they've always been fat and ill, you know? So all of a sudden a 350-pound woman loses 100 pounds and they have a hard time losing the rest of the weight because 250 is way better than fucking 350. And they get stuck in the middle because, I mean, they feel so much better. It's like the beginning, like morbidly obese people that need to lose like 200 pounds are always, always, always super motivated for the first like 60, 70 pounds because they feel better every fucking pound. They look better every fucking pound. And then between 20 pounds, between like 30 pounds overweight, depending on the person. So let's say between 20%, 20% overweight to, a lot overweight to 15 to maybe 15 to maybe 60 times the amount you should weigh, or 100 times the amount you should weigh. You don't look all that different. You look round, and you look loose, So they lose 100 pounds. They feel a lot better. They look smaller. They can fit into different clothes. They've done all sorts of new clothes shopping and all like that. So now they're stuck in the middle. They have to buy new clothes if they lose another 100 pounds. It's fucked up because there's almost a monetary negative to it. But then they fucking feel better already. So they don't feel good still because they're still 100 pounds over fucking weight. They're still tragically ill. They don't even realize it necessarily, but they're still tragically ill, and they have a hard time recognizing it because they feel much, 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 much better. And then they kind of loosen up on the reins a little bit. And what happens is they still lead a very shitty, unhealthy life if it's keeping them 100 pounds overweight. They may not realize it, but if you are eating and if you are eating and exercising in a way that is going to keep you 100 pounds overweight, like if you just didn't change a thing from what you're doing right now and you're 100 pounds overweight, you're treating your body like shit still. I mean, like you are doing something wrong. Like we need to accept this. Like if you are 100 pounds overweight and you're struggling to lose weight at 100 pounds overweight, you are in fact fucking up. Like you should get there like way faster. Absolutely way faster. But I haven't watched that video yet. I'll probably watch it later in the day, just to be honest. The stuck in the middle video, but that's my professional and personal opinion because I've been there. I remember going from 280 down to 230, down to like 240, and I stopped looking different. Like 240 to 220, I didn't look much different at all. And even 280 to 240, there wasn't much of a difference besides finally at 240, it seemed like I lost like the fucking extra layer of fat that had encased my head, Body wise, I really didn't start seeing really leaner results. I always had some thickness to me, but I didn't really see leaner results until I got under 200 pounds. But we're going to continue with this.
So no, please come. And she's like, no, I'm not going to go. So Gina makes up some excuse, and Rachel's like, okay, fine, and like, I won't go tonight, I won't go either. If you're not going, I'm not going. So neither women go. And then next Monday rolls around, and Rachel's like, right, Gina, are we going? I'll meet you there at 7 o'clock tonight. And Gina's like, oh God, like it's been a long week with kids and like all this stuff with work, and like, it's a Monday, and if it wasn't on a Monday, it'd be great, but because it's a Monday, that big paper that, that report that I had to write, and, I was really like struggling today in work, and, Timmy has the flu, and I think this week I'll have to give it a go. And Rachel's like, okay, like, all by myself, like, I feel a bit shy, like, like I kind of really I feel like I need somebody there. I feel like I need it. And Rachel decides she's not going to go either.
Yep.
And then, week 6 comes the next week, and neither girl or woman even bothers texting each other about it.
Yep.
And week 7 goes, and before you know it, they're not doing the running club anymore, and they've completely that's it. It's the end of that.
Yep.
And so that's a very typical conversation or typical story when it comes to accountability, because by being accountable to somebody else, by Gina and Rachel deciding at the start that they are going to be accountable to each other, and that they're going to do the Couch to 5K, and they're going to take the 8 weeks to do it. And at the end,
I will point out though that you can get our coaching, because this way you hold yourself accountable, or people hold you accountable that are going to talk to you every single day. They're going to send you a message every single day. That's what we do. We try to hold the person accountable and then teach them how to hold themselves accountable. Friends don't normally do it. Like in my mind, if you need accountability, if you need somebody to kind of say, what did you eat today? What's your plan for the week? How much hydration have you had? A huge portion of our clientele is people that we do that for, literally, because a lot of times people need that, okay, I'm being held accountable by somebody type thing, and the goal is to always move them away from that. But a lot of people are not going to get healthy unless they have that sort of accountability, Now, there's a difference between that and where somebody is constantly going to be on your side, constantly going to be saying, hey, try this instead. Let's make sure this happens. It also goes the other way. We got to make sure that people don't starve themselves or abuse themselves with food, that they don't actually, dehydrate themselves or whatever. So it got to work the same way. So that's why I still don't think having an audience to lose weight with is very good at all. I think it's very unhealthy. And again, this woman lost about 150, from what I understand, from what we just looked at, 150 pounds of her 180 pounds before she even started a channel, which is fucking awesome for her. And somebody in the chat pointed out that she did this during lockdown, which is fucking amazing also. Because that's what every fat person should have done during lockdown, is just focus nonstop on losing the weight. If for no other reason than the pandemic virus, we knew was hard on elderly people and fat people from the very beginning. It's tragedy that our public health officials weren't actually honest with people to tell, hey, if you're elderly and the average of 4 serious comorbidities, you should stay in, which, as a news flash, those people already were staying in. If you're 78 to 80 years old and you have 4 serious comorbidities, you are not out, clubbing. But the biggest danger was to the immunocompromised younger people who are out and about, which is mostly fat people. It's the reality. The people that did the dying, or the people that do the dying, there was not even, in 2020, before the introduction of a certain therapy, there was not even excess death. Like, it's weird to me that people didn't see that. There is not even excess death. There was no like increase in all-cause mortality, except for like a very minor note. Now we have like a 30% increase in excess mortality. It was also kind of funny that 2020, but this is just an off note, but on 2020, there was no jibby jab, no therapy, and it had been in the United States fully blown, traveling around as early as like what it looks like from water samples and stuff like that, as early as September, October of 2019. So it was in full swing, like for 2020. It wasn't like it was just starting. It was in full swing already, as it was a highly contagious cold. And less people passed away with it, including people that were in car accidents and stuff like that that were tested for it and then passed away, gunshot victims and stuff like that. Less people passed away from it in 2020 than 2021 after we introduced a certain therapy. Just food for thought.
It's going to be great. And then they realize, as soon after Gina's bowed out and Rachel's kind of like, oh, she wants to do it, but she hasn't had the confidence to do it because she didn't believe that she could do it herself. And this time for me was learning that I needed to build confidence in myself.
So the thing is, if the other person had the confidence in themselves anyway, and they didn't need the other person, they would have just gone when their partner didn't want to go.
Not be accountable to anybody else. I needed to make sure that I could do this by myself for myself.
Very smart.
And I did. And I kept going and I got there and I didn't throw in the towel and I was never accountable to anybody else. I was never accountable to anybody on the internet, even though I've shared my every week weigh-in for the whole 14 months that took me to lose weight and then like my bit postpartum. I never felt accountable to anybody else except myself. And it kind of goes along the lines with the, when I say don't tell other people as well. But this is really the accountability, and it's really because other people can derail your progress, because of their SHIT.
I completely fucking agree. That's one of the reasons why, again, you should not lose weight as a weight loss channel on YouTube or anything like that, because people will derail your progress. And you get caught up in the comments and all sorts of shit. And I mean, it's not a healthy relationship. The problem is, and I know this is fucked up. This is going to upset people, and even in our crowd. But the fucked up shit is you can get not abuse, but you can get negative feedback from completely anonymous people who, because they're completely anonymous, are definitely fucking more charged to say savage shit. I'm not saying it's not even true, but like if you are a fragile person who emotionally eats and is self-conscious about, being 100, 200 pounds overweight, the comments for YouTube are not going to be helpful. Just not. I find YouTube as a company is kind of it's ridiculous because they will very much police every fucking thing that is said by a creator, but they will allow super anonymous trolls to, like, even on these lives, we get like fucking porn spam bots constantly. Like, okay, you can, like, all of a sudden you can, demonetize a channel if they bring up, something about facial decorations, facial decorations not working. You can demonetize and ban that channel and medical misinformation and all like that. But the comment sections of almost any YouTube video can be like the seventh circle of hell. It's fucking crazy.
The next lesson that I learned from successfully losing 180 pounds is that deprivation can lead to binging. I, again, as I said, had been trying to lose weight.
This is why, deprivation does lead to binging. I believe that. That's one of the reasons why we have no morbidity, which, right up here, right up there. Because we did find that in the absence of hunger, it is easier to control binge eating. Again, I haven't binged in a year and 11 months. It is one of those things that I truly think that people need to recognize. It's one of the reasons why we don't suggest over restriction either. Like when we set people up, like when we do set people up for the one coaching we have, with both coaches we give them a range of calories, but for the one we hold them very, very accountable. The intensive coaching, where it's like, okay, let's help you plan your meals out and shit like that. We set them up for a minimum of calories. Like, if you are too far below your minimum for multiple days in a row, the chances of binging are much higher. That's why I'm not a huge fan of more than 20-hour fasting. More than 20-hour fasting oftentimes sets the person up for a very serious, binge episode. If they have binge eating tendencies, fasting tends to like increase the chances of the binge. Don't get me wrong. I've seen people also, start incorporating fasting that are binge eaters and it helped control their binge eating. That's more rare than it is the norm, just to be real. And I'm talking fasting more than 20 hours because Like if you control your hunger and you hydrate properly, most of the time you're just not that hungry, especially if you're on Ember and no morbidity and for me product 2 and stuff like that, you know?
My whole life and had some success in the past, but my success was based on white knuckling it and
White
not
knuckling.
addressing the reasons or the habits that brought me to being 180 pounds overweight.
Excellent.
And so I was basically feeling like constantly, like, and by white knuckling it, I mean, like, you know, when you're on a ride, you're on a roller coaster and you're holding on and your knuckles are white and you're holding on for dear life, or you're on, you know, like a chin up bar and you're holding on, or you're over a ravine and you're like holding on for dear.
These are all very good analogies. It's another thing like we talk about in our coaching. I'm very impressed with this woman. We talk about this in our coaching too. This should people should be losing weight in what we call the sweet spot. They step on the scale like a woman steps on the scale every 2 weeks when they first start off with us. We don't do daily weigh-ins, weekly weigh-ins and daily weigh-ins for women are in fact fucking stupid. I'm just going to be realist. They're really stupid. There's too many hormonal fluctuations, too many hydration fluctuations that come along with the hormonal fluctuations. So, catch yourself at the lull between ovulation and menstruation every 2 weeks, and then go to once a month, but try to do it at the same hormonal state, but it should seem like when you step on the scale, you're like, holy fuck, I lost weight. Like you should be satiated, satisfied. It should be an easy, livable lifestyle that you can then keep adjusting down, especially if you have got an exorbitant amount of weight to lose. Like we've got clients right now that are at like the 125 pound weight loss, and they still have got like 80 pounds to go. 125 pounds in like a year, by the way. Several clients were fucking killing it this year. But they got about 80 to go. So what we're doing now is we're sitting down and we're doing portion size experiments to see if we need to lower any portion sizes. Because again, if the weight loss starts slowing down after 125 pounds, we're going to have to cut it down. But the concept that a person is just going to go from 200, eating in a way that keeps them 200 pounds overweight down to the calories immediately that is going to be the end calories that they have is kind of ridiculous. I'm sure this young woman, made multiple different tiers basically of adjustment, and it's good to keep constantly adjusting down until you get to a level of of homeostasis at your desired end weight. But to be real, like most people need to first 100 or so pounds is going to come off fairly easy, and then it slows down. Then you make a little adjustment. I mean, because if you're 200 pounds overweight or 180 pounds overweight, it's normally going to be at least a year. She lost, I believe, 150 pounds in a year, which is just fucking crushing it. Or 14 months is just fucking crushing it. I mean, that's just absolutely fucking crushing it, especially for a female because they don't have the same testosterone level as men. It's just absolutely fucking slaying that shit. She's a fucking hero, But it needs to be a livable lifestyle. I completely 100% agree with her.
Your life, because if you can just hold on and just not eat the chocolate and not eat the thing, then I'll get there and it'll be fine. And you've literally got white knuckles.
So if it's like, if there is an item that you are, stressing about eating, like if it's chocolate, first of all, I would check a look for a lot of things. I would check a look to make sure that you don't have any micronutrient deficiencies, because a lot of times people crave certain items because their body is deficient in a micronutrient. A lot of times there's lots of studies that show that when people crave chocolate, it's because they're magnesium deficient. So it's just something to check out. But, and that's one of the reasons why, even though I eat almost all whole foods and I eat vegetables every day and stuff like that, I still take a very solid. I take a Mortal multivitamin pack, which has a bunch of other stuff besides multi. It has organ support, it has everything like that. I take nectar. I drink nectar every day, things like that, just to make sure I'm getting plenty of micronutrients to avoid micronutrient holes. Because a couple things: one, it can cause it so you crave stuff. Two, it increases hunger. Three, because your body's looking for nutrients. But three, if the item can be eaten in portion, right? If it doesn't trigger other binges, but it is just not necessarily healthy for you. I have a rotation of items that we leave the house for that I get, like frozen custard about once a month. I go out and have, French fries, like just deep fried French fries and tons of ketchup about once a month. things, things that wouldn't necessarily be considered a health food. They're eaten only, like, by our terminology for the book Beyond Willpower. They're foods that are just eaten just for pleasure, which is mostly ultra processed, and or things that are very, very highly decadent that might trigger other eating, stuff like that. Once a week, I normally have something on rotation. There are things that you shouldn't, like, if they are just going to throw you off, that you shouldn't have. Like, for instance, my storied history with peanut M&Ms is pretty well known for those people that know me. They are a binge trigger for me, and I wouldn't suggest you eat anything that is a known binge trigger for you. Like, if you know that it causes you to eat uncontrollably, don't eat that fucking thing. Consider it like it's like you're an alcoholic, and you've got a problem with that item at the very least.
By the end of doing that, I think somebody else, I thought I was like throwing my fist at them. I'm not. And so by white knuckling it, which is what I did every other time, is you're not addressing the core issue. Right. You're just putting a Band-Aid over stopping yourself from eating.
Yeah, people are looking for that method or something like that. When that's why we talk about how we take a person's lifestyle, we adjust it bit by bit by bit by bit in our coaching. You know what I mean? Like, because we need to feel out the person. For the first couple of days, we just have the person send us their food. Because what have you been eating? Is this how you normally eat? Let's talk. Let's see what your problems are. Let's do these things. Like, these are the things. I agree with this woman completely. Like, you need to actually adjust shit to your lifestyle. There's no, like, that's why I don't like people that like give you, like, just eat this, and you're fine. There's more to that. Like, what is your hydration like? What is your sleep like? What is your stress like? I start with those things. Like, how much activity do you get? What kind of activity is it? Do you like the activity you're fucking doing? Like, if you don't like the activity you're doing, find activity you like to fucking do. Are you basing your weight loss off of exercise? That's a mistake. I mean, it's an absolute abject mistake, because there's going to be times in your life where you may not be able to exercise the way you're exercising. And if you are losing weight, or if you are, especially even worse, if you are maintaining weight based off of hours a day of working out, like 2 hours a day of working out, or you are losing very minimal weight and you have a lot of weight to lose and you are working out for hours a day, you are fucking up. You should fix that shit. Because if all of a sudden you sprain your ankle and you can't work out, you are going to balloon. Because if you are doing an hour or two of working out in a day, and you are barely losing weight, like you are, and you don't all of a sudden get those workouts in, you're fucked. Absolutely fucked. So, I mean, it should be a livable lifestyle.
Instead, I needed to address the reasons as to why I was overweight, so that I didn't want to overeat. I didn't want to eat the things that I thought I needed to eat, or the things that were comforting to me, and find and teach myself ways to comfort myself in other methods.
Yeah, very good.
And one of the things as well that I did that really helped with this as well is that I learned about volume eating, or as I call it, the abundance principle. So learning how to eat and satisfy the former binger in me, the food addict in me, with really high volumes of food, but at very low calorie density.
That doesn't work for everybody. Volume food eating does not work for everybody, because oftentimes it is the actual, your stomach, you fill yourself up with volume and your stomach gets so full that it triggers the binge for some people. That does not work. I mean, I understand where she's coming from, and I've lost weight before that way too, where it's like I've just focused on high volume food, but that does not work for everybody at all. That is an individualized thing, and I just want to say it could work for you, but it may not. I mean, just watch out for it, because a lot of times, like I said, people fill themselves up. They stay very used to eating high volumes of food, like a high, like actual just amount of food, even though it has less calories. And then they actually fucking, if they all of a sudden fall off the rails, they eat a high volume of food that is calorically dense. So the thing is, I don't suggest that people just do the high volume food thing, because it can be a problem. If you need to increase the volume of anything, increase the volume of your fluid, as most people are dehydrated, and don't even realize it, especially if you work out and blah, blah, blah. If you're 300 pounds and you're taking 150 ounces of fluid in a day and you're working out to try to lose weight, you are hurting yourself. Fix that shit. So I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the high volume advice. I understand it worked for her, and that's great, but I wanted to preface this with, like, warn everybody a little bit that sometimes that can work a little against people too. It's not necessarily a fully sustainable long-term thing, because then all of a sudden, a year later, you've lost all the weight, and a year after that, you're still eating high volume foods to keep yourself satiated, and everything like that. And then all of a sudden, you change your living situation, and the foods you don't have access to, or the foods you've been eating, or something catches, you start losing focus, and you are still used to eating an incredibly high volume of food. Like I used to eat just a tremendous amount of food, and now I don't eat much food in a day. Like, but I'm very satiated, very satisfied, very well nourished, and I don't miss it because I've, over the last 2 years, gotten myself used to a much lower volume of food. Like and again, I don't get physically hungry because of the supplements I'm on. I always try to preface that. But even before that, with the hunger management method, before we even started the first thing, and you can read about this in the book, by the way, because I'm the case study of the book. But we had me managed, you know what I mean? Like, and I was eating food I liked. I didn't feel like I was on a diet. I was, right about, I was a very low body fat percentage and still happy. I was sleeping well, everything like that. But we instituted supplements just because now it's even easier for me, because now I'm not hungry. But the high volume thing is something to watch out for too. It really is.
So that I did not feel deprived, because every other time when I was losing weight, I felt like I was deprived. I felt like I was not getting what I needed and what.
You can't do that. Like, I mean, even if it's like, if you get food focused, like you have a craving, it's what I was talking about earlier. You make sure you have a rotation of food items that you still have,
What I thought I needed was food, but actually what I needed was to deal with the things that were bringing up the feelings. And by dealing with the things that were bringing up the feelings that I didn't want to deal with, I would reach for food.
Well, she's talking about emotional eating. I'm talking more about physical hunger. Emotional eating is a very serious thing too, obviously. But and we always get therapy. I mean, as much as you can, or work through your shit. Talk to somebody. Talk to yourself in the mirror. I've done that before.
Or sorry, by dealing with the things, I no longer reached for food, and that for me made a big difference in terms of losing weight. Is not white knuckling it, addressing those reasons, and realizing that deprivation can lead to binging. Because if I just kept ignoring, the binging is basically as a result of, it's a comfort mechanism. It is a reaction to something, and by not dealing with the reason as to why I was needing that reaction or that comfort, I would then binge. I would basically white knuckling it through, going, no, I'm not going to eat the chocolate. I'm not going to eat the chocolate. I'm not going to eat the chocolate. And then eventually I would fall off, and you'd eat the chocolate, and you'd eat 4 things of chocolate, or 10 or 15 bars of chocolate. And, you'd feel like you fall understanding why I really have any of it. And allowing myself and dealing with my coping mechanisms, so that I was not using food as a coping mechanism. So that if I wanted a piece of chocolate.
Yeah, food should be a coping mechanism, and chocolate should be an item viewed just for pleasure, but there's nothing wrong with having pleasure in your life within reason. And one of the best tenets, treat sugar like it's alcohol, like that's what we always say. I'm going to move forward here a little bit, because we are running out of time and we still got a little bit to go.
That made me need that coping mechanism. Yes. So I realized that deprivation leads to binging. So denying myself my coping mechanism led me to doubling down on my coping mechanism. Food was my coping mechanism.
Yep.
So changing my coping mechanism and ensuring I never felt deprived.
That's awesome. It's one of the things we say too, about, I snack all the time. Have a bottle of water in your hand all the time. Like, set a rule for yourself that before you would catch an unplanned meal, you drink 20 ounces of fluid. It's just a thing that people can do. I don't even care if it's flavored water at that stage, but, plan out your food, and then drink 0-calorie beverage, preferably water, no diet soda. I know, baby. I know. Oh. It wasn't her turn to sleep with us last night, so she's a little bratty. But anyway.
until I changed that coping mechanism, that is what helped me this time. So learning deprivation, you can only control the inputs. What do I mean? I have a long time in the business background, too long. And I have a degree in business, and I ran a charity for years and years and years, like 11 years. Okay. And there would always be a lot of like frameworks around. So you'd have your inputs. So say in clothing manufacturing, you have your inputs, you have material, you have thread, you have design patterns, you have dye, you have loads of other things. Then you have your processes, so your people and all that kind of stuff. And then you have your outputs, which are dresses. And then your outcomes are your money. Jesus, wow. And I've never got a job as a business lecturer, surprisingly enough. Basically, you've got inputs, processes, outputs, and outcomes. And the difference between outputs are like obvious, like things that are output, like a dress, but an outcome of that is that that dress earns you, you know, by selling X amount of units of that dress, it earns you 20,000 euro, say for example. So you cannot control, in terms of a weight loss journey, you cannot control the outputs, which would be the number on the scales, nor the outcomes that result from that. So the outcomes are your non-scale victories, you know, you're feeling how good you're feeling. The only thing that you can control are your inputs into your processes. And to be very business orientated. So your inputs here are your numbers. We're looking at numbers. You can control the calories that you eat. You can control the number of minutes of walking that you do. You can control the speed at which you're walking. You can control your water intake. You can control the number of hours that you sleep. Hopefully, sometimes with a tiny human.
Fucking awesome. I mean, I seriously, that's amazing. So very, very, I completely agree.
You can't, but you can control as much as possible. So by controlling those inputs, they go through the process and they all mix together and they work together, you know, in your body.
I will say this though, that, you know, I agree 100%, but the inputs are the things that people have problems with. I mean, this is why I even tend to, like, people have non-scale victories. A non-scale victory is like, you know, awesome. But at the same time, non-scale victories are normally not actual weight loss goal related. If people look at it like, hey, I got into a different pair of pants. It's non-scale victory. I agree, and that's great, but that's more of an aesthetic thing, you know. And if for the scale, like, it's different for lots of people. The one excuse I see a lot of the fans of different weight loss channels use is like, well, they're building muscle while they're, what do you see? They're building muscle while they're building muscle while they lose weight. Nobody's exchanging a pound of muscle a week for a pound of fat loss. It's just not happening. I mean, it's just not happening, you know? So you just got to watch because a lot of times all of a sudden non-scale victories become excuses. So I really think that to a great degree.
Your outputs are the result on the scales, and your outcomes then are how you feel, and your non-scale victories and what that number translates to into your whole life. Let me go through that again. Your inputs are your.
And I'm not upset at her. I only have so much time here.
Money that generates you. We'll get that.
I do suggest that everybody go watch this video.
Something I've learned, because I always wanted to control that number, and when I realized and I relinquished the control on that number and I controlled my input, I succeeded. Last one, guys.
Good.
This is controversial. Oh, please listen to what I'm saying before we have a clap back for this. One of the biggest lessons that I learned from losing 180 pounds, and maybe even the biggest lesson that I learned, is that I was responsible for my weight.
Yep.
I was responsible for being 323.8 pounds.
Absolutely.
Now, when I say that, I am not saying that to shame myself. I am not shaming my former.
What's this shame? What's this? I don't get this. This is such a for her to even have to fucking do this. Who else is responsible for it? Like, this is something, and again, like, I'm not upset with her. I'm agreeing with her. I just think she's having to, I just think she's having to fucking pussyfoot around a very basic fucking topic of who else is responsible. Nobody, unless you're a child, unless you are not you're responsible for your food, unless you are, a 15-year-old who weighs 320 some pounds and your parents make you eat, like, fuck. I mean, who else is fucking responsible? I don't even get how this is fucking controversial. I feel bad for her that she feels that she needs to somehow delineate that this portion of her, advice, which has all been I haven't seen the other 5 things from the first video, but these 4 fucking things so far have been spot the fuck on as far as I'm concerned, besides a few things that I might differ on it slightly in opinion, but I think she knows what the fuck she's doing, frankly. The accountability thing, I think that some people need somebody that's actually going to hold them accountable and teach them how to hold themselves accountable. Obviously, that's what I do for a living. But I also think for some people that they just know that they need some accountability. They need to build their own accountability, and they need to do this, because one of the things you do is as you get the weight off, you learn to hold yourself accountable. You learn how to set habits for yourself, and the habits help hold you accountable. That's the only thing I kind of differed on her. But for her to have to say, it's my responsibility that made me fat. Who the fuck else is this? It's not societal systemic fat phobia. It is that you gluttoned yourself to very fucking big,
Myself. What I was and what I'm doing is understanding. I spent 30 something years blaming other people for my weight. And yes, other people have a role to play in me becoming 323.8 pounds. However,
that role is how you reacted to their input, because she just got done talking about inputs and stuff like that. The input that they gave, you chose how you were going to react to it. So the reaction is the actual input. The stimulus is what they're doing. So I get what she's saying.
There were issues and things that happened to me. There were people and issues and trauma that happened to me. And yes, while those issues are technically to blame, I, as a person, was responsible for how I reacted to those.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that from a place of shame. The reason I'm saying that is because I understood.
I hate that she has to qualify this. I'm not saying that from a place of shame. Just be real. You were 320 some pounds. You shouldn't be fucking proud of it. That's for fucking sure. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not trying to shame anybody either, but what the fuck? I mean, if you've eaten yourself to twice the size, this woman lost more than what she weighs. She lost a whole human being. She ate herself to be double, multi-size the person she was. She shouldn't be proud of it. Like, she shouldn't, it's not something to be proud of. That's for fucking sure. And if you're not proud of it and it's something you need to change for your health, I'm not saying you should be ashamed, but that shame word's floating around there. Like, I'm ashamed of how I fucking treated my body. I'm ashamed by it, and I fucking should be. It was ridiculous. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. And it's something. Do I regret? Not necessarily, but it's fucking shameful to sit down and eat 3 times the amount of food you need to fucking eat. That's shameful to me. It's shameful to be that fucking, I don't know, greedy. I mean, so. I don't find first of all, it's you. You can shame your previous self. You can look back and be like, God, that's fucking stupid. You can look back on it, or you can look like, man, I wish if shame, we don't want to, shame has become such a dirty word. It's called regret, motherfuckers. If you don't regret anything, you don't regret any fucking thing. There's almost no difference between the word regret and shame. Yet somebody's like, oh, don't shame people. Point out that they should regret the fucking fact that they're fat as fuck. I mean, it's fucking crazy. Fuck that shit.
That is my reaction to that trauma and to being triggered and to what had happened to me. I reacted to reminding myself of the trauma or being triggered by the trauma or being triggered by somebody with food. Okay. That was a reaction. That my reaction was to seek comfort with food. And because I was constantly being triggered, I was constantly seeking food. And so I had to realize that that is my responsibility. I am not shaming myself for that responsibility, for becoming 323.8 pounds. I am not.
Why not?
Shaming myself for that. That is the reaction that I learned, and that worked for me as a coping mechanism to get there.
But you regret it. I mean, or you wouldn't have changed it. This is the only thing, like, I feel bad for her, but at the same time, this is the only part where she's losing me. Because she's trying to make sure that it doesn't get on her. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm not shaming nobody. Don't get that fucking fat acceptance shit on me. Oh, fuck, the fat acceptance people. Fuck, I mean, what? You've lost 100. Are you done? Are you done? Okay, do you want to go over to your chair? There we go. All right. Fucking baby. Yeah, you're a baby. Fucking yell at me. But this is the only part where she's kind of losing me a little bit. And Carla, if you watch this, which I hope you do, and if you watch this, for real, I love the video. I absolutely love it. This is the only part where I feel that, this is an issue. You obviously regret being that big, and you should. I mean, you just should. I mean, you could have really messed yourself up, and hopefully there's no long-term ramifications. And I got to be real. The rest of the content, the rest of your thought process, amazing. I fucking love it. Like I said, I only differ on a few things. Like, you found a way to hold yourself accountable. For a lot of people, that's not necessarily where they're at yet. I do suggest the counseling, everything like that, amazing. But I got to be real. This part, you're losing me on a little bit because, like, I'm not trying to shame. Like, you're trying to make sure in this video that you're making sure that it doesn't, like, get on you, you know? And I just don't believe that you don't have that stance. I don't believe that you can look at yourself and be like 322 pounds and you don't regret it. And if you regret it, that means you're ashamed of it, you know? So let's see. I can live with her trying to be neutral. Everyone can't be Alan. I agree, but I mean, I feel like I'm more upset. Like, I'm more upset for her that she feels the need that she has to do this in our society, where she has to, somehow. And I'm pretty sure that that's going to be. I mean, we're almost out of time. But the thing that kind of gets me is, like, I feel bad that she feels the need to, in some way, qualify that she's not ashamed, or she's not shaming her former self. You should. What the fuck? I'm sorry, but, like, if you ate yourself to, like, way more than twice your size. That's not something to be proud of at all. So I feel bad for her that she has to do that. To me, that is induced trauma to the person. Like, being healthier should never be seen as a negative thing whatsoever. Losing weight, fixing your relationship with food, and fixing as much as it can your relationship with food, stuff like that, should never be seen as a negative. And she's having to try to reword, because of the current climate we're in, that she's not it's not shaming her former fat self. Your former fat self was a fat fuck. You obviously gluttoned yourself to very big, because you will say that you're the one that got yourself fat. Like, if there's accountability for a negative action, and then you change that action, there's regret. So therefore, there's shame. So I feel you. I understand, especially as a woman. You've got to watch about the fat shaming, body positivity, crazy ass people. Trust me, literally have a whole documentary about how they fucking try to come after me and my wife. But, like, and for real, there was literally a documentary made about how the fat acceptance community came after me and my wife. But we've gone over on this channel. But I feel that bad for her, that's, like, she felt that she needed to qualify that, because that's fucked up. Now I'm going to get to a few questions, but I can't stay long. But we will talk to. I'll get to a few people. How is this controversial? Admitting the truth and self-accountability is controversial. That's where we're at. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. You know? It takes a while to unlearn 20 to 30 years of bad habits in your upbringing, but yeah, after a while, it's definitely up to you. No, it's always up to you. It's just a matter of what you do with it, you know? And again, you can even hire accountability coaching. The links here, a couple of comments down. So she doesn't want the fat acceptance folk coming for her for saying that she was responsible. That's what it is exactly. It's unfortunate, but that's what it is. I believe that in of itself is the problem. You might sub to her. Everybody should go sub to her. Everybody should go sub to her channel. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull it back up. And it is at, here we go. Everybody should go sub to her channel. Everybody. That is very well thought out. I'm going to check out the video with the other 5. But everybody should go sub to her channel because I think that was amazing. I really do. I think that she, I think that video could help a lot of people, just to be honest. I think it was a very, very well put together video. I'm looking forward to seeing the other one. But the only part that like the parts I didn't like is the account, like some people need to hold themselves accountable by having somebody that they hold themselves accountable to. It is what it is. Like, at least at the start, at the very, very start, and then learn how to hold themselves accountable through different measures. You know, that's one of the things we always like. We coach people the why. You know, like when I tell people, okay, so you had a bad day. The biggest thing, you overate because stress. This. How much fluid did you have? Okay, so you were a little dehydrated, or you were under your hydration level, and you had stress, and then therefore there was an opportunity because there was donuts in the break room, so you had like 4 donuts real quick because you were stressed out and you stress ate. Well, always take a step back next time. What can we do to avoid this? And if you know you're a binge eater, okay, so start your day off with even more hydration. So it's normally the homework is then let's make sure no matter what, take a picture of the 30-ounce bottle of water that you drink first thing in the morning to me every morning. And we do that for a month, and it builds the habit that that's what they just do. They don't even think about it anymore. They just drink 30 ounces of fluid first thing when they wake up. And then they drink another 30 ounces an hour after they've been up. Then they drink another 30 ounces 4 hours after they've been up. So now they're 90 ounces in at noon, and then they only need to have another like something like, 50 ounces if they're 140, 150 pound person, or, and it's how that's done. So that part is where you lost me a little bit, because I think that some people you can use accountability as a tool as long as they're using it as a tool to help build their own accountability type thing. But the other thing is that I feel bad for you that you needed to somehow feel you needed to qualify that you weren't shaming your former self when being fat is in fact nothing to be proud of. I find it hard to believe that you weren't ashamed of it and that you aren't ashamed of it. Speaking as a person that has been fat as fuck myself, because if you are not ashamed of gluttoning yourself into ill health, you kind of should be. Like I would just say that I think this is going to be my video for today. That maybe it is. Maybe you should be ashamed of being fat. Like I know that's not going to go over really well, but maybe you should absolutely be ashamed of being fat, because you did it to yourself, and it's not healthy, and it's bad for society and your family and you. It causes societal burden, all those things. So maybe you should fucking be ashamed of it. It's definitely not. The problem is we literally have people right now that are proud of it, and that's a problem. Being proud of an unhealthy action or unhealthy actions that lead to an unhealthy state is in fact self-harm, and it is in fact bad for society, and it is in fact not good. So I believe my video for today will be, you should be ashamed of being fat. And they're going to come. So anyway, it's a process. Maybe with therapy, she will get there. I hope so. Because this was a very good video. I have subscribed myself, as people saw. I have subscribed with my notification bells on. I think it's very awesome, and I think everybody should subscribe to her channel. We are going to be back tomorrow at 1 p.m., Crystal and I. We'll be back, and we are talking about, in fact, we are going to be talking about this video. Let me right here. And we'll be talking about this video tomorrow. I hope everybody has a great goddamn day. And let me know if you need anything. Again, you can get our coaching at the links posted above. No Morbidity will be back in stock here in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. Buy the book, Beyond Willpower, the Hunger Management Method. It's how we outlined how we developed the method that we use for our clients and the methodology on how to build accountability. God damn.